The millions of gallons of crude oil that gushed into the Gulf of Mexico for months seeped into the lives of those working in the commercial and recreational fishing industry. And for some commercial fishermen who already were facing tough times, it only added to their misery. Well, during the summer, Catherine Birren, who joins us today, helped organize and draw attention to the local plight that the oil spill was affecting the local fishermen's interest. Although she was successful in her appeal to stall the state's annual commercial fishing deadlines by 90 days, she remains miffed and muted with her response by BP and the government agencies over the impact of this spill. She says that things have not improved much since then. Catches are down significantly from previous years. Her clients, many of whom dock their boats at her facility, are barely hanging on. She also is the owner of 5 fishing boats and the Hernando Beach Seafood wholesale retail seafood business, and she says we've never seen anything like it in our lives. I am so appreciative of the accidental activist who Ricky Ott is referred to as is joining us today. Thank you so much, Catherine Birren, for joining us on the Power Hour today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
All right, you are in the midst of all of this down there, and we have asked and asked for people to talk about what's happening down there, and people are kind of closed mouth. They appear to be afraid or non-responsive to the issue of what's happening in the Gulf. But you are speaking out now. You and Ricky Ott have been working in the Gulf trying to expose the truth, and we just really, really appreciate the two of you and your organization. We sort of see you as a committee of one down there now, and thank you for joining us in the Power Hour today. All right, let's talk about, first of all, who and what you are. Where did you come from? You own a seafood business and a boat business, so you have a vested interest in the Gulf.
Right. Of course, my name is Catherine Birren. This is not something that I was ever interested in, being an activist of any kind. For years, I helped run my husband's and my seafood business. And, of course, when the oil spill started, initially I really thought it was going to be sort of a local problem up in that region because we're quite a few miles from where it actually happened. And, of course, over time we could see that this wasn't stopping. And when that started happening, I started researching. And at that point, came across Ricky Ott's videos on YouTube. She's got a lot of informational videos on there. And at that point, realized that this was a lot bigger than I thought it was, originally going to be, and that I needed to get some information down here. And everything kind of snowballed from there. And it's, what we've figured out at this point is that if we don't get the information out there, then BP and the government are going to make this disappear, and it's not gone. So I have joined not just with Ricky, but with a whole team of people. There's lots of people up in the northern Gulf regions, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, and the panhandle of Florida that have all kind of joined together. And we're all trying to get word out there and help the people that we're finding are sick up there. That's a big issue. And with all of the problems that we're having with BP and with the government.
So it is a hotbed of anger, of frustration, we've been told that people have committed suicide over this. Let's talk about how bad the situation is. Show us the problem in the Gulf today and how bad it really is.
Okay. In order for me to do that, I need to go back just a little bit. Initially when BP first put out this Vessels of Opportunity program, which people are calling the Vessels of Oppression program, they put out big dollar signs. We're going to pay our commercial fishermen to go out there, and they're going to do all this work for us, and we're going to pay them good money. We'll use their boats. We feel bad about what's happened, so we're going to do what we can to try to help them to keep up their business and not lose their businesses. Now, in the Exxon Valdez spill in Alaska, Ricky already saw it, and so did the experts, that the people that worked on the spill got very sick. They were using dispersants just like they've been using in the Gulf and are still using today. And they found that the people got very sick initially and got sicker over time, and many of those people died of cancer and other illnesses related to the spill. She came down here trying to prevent all this from happening again. And, of course, you can only get so much information out there, and a lot of people didn't want to listen. They saw the dollar signs as well. And BP made them a promise that they weren't going to get sick from this spill. A lot of the boats did go out and work, as you guys all saw on TV, and the money that they were paid, most of these people are using now to try to get well from the illnesses that they've gotten because of the spill that may be forever in their systems. That's one of the biggest things we're seeing. And it's not just with the workers, which has actually been on a few shows at this point nationally, but actually the residents that live all along the Gulf Coast are getting sick as well. And we figure about 6 million people were exposed, including some of the areas of tourism that didn't give us all the numbers of the tourists. We only had one state give us numbers for tourism. So we don't really know how many people have been affected. And because there's so many sick people, the government, of course, knows what's going on, and they're trying to keep things as quiet as possible. That's our biggest problem that we're dealing with at this point. We've got people over in Florida swimming in swimming pools that are tainted with Corexit 957, the dispersant that was used on the oil spill, and the families don't even know. And we're getting ready to let school out in 4 weeks here in Florida, and there are swimming pools in just about every backyard here, and we don't know how many of those pools have been tainted by the rain.
Oh, this is scary. This is really scary to think that Corexit would be in swimming pools. But wait a minute. Corexit was a year ago. They used Corexit a year ago, which was the dispersant, to make the oil disappear so nobody would see the problem.
That's correct. Corexit also is continuing to be used as of today. Our numbers from, of course, our scientists are saying that, about 85%, 75 to 85% of the oil is still there. The university studies are all coming back with the same numbers. A lot of this oil was sunk to the bottom with the Corexit dispersant, out of view, which of course is saving BP lots of money in fines. The less oil seen, the less money it costs. The dispersant has never been used at a depth as it was at this time. It's always been sprayed on the top in previous spills. So they didn't really know exactly how it was going to work, and it's broken it down, but it's still there, and it's actually worse for the fish. It makes it so that they absorb it, that it gets into their food. It's actually made it a much bigger problem. A lot of the oil is still thickly there. As the waters warm up, Ricky explained that the oil will start coming to the surface again and has already started. When the tourists and the people in the summer start swimming, they don't want to see oil, and neither does the government, because that's going to scare off tourists. So they're spraying these out of airplanes. They're spraying them out of small boats. We know that this is happening. We've got photos. We have videos coming in just about every day, and we're seeing the problem. I mean, we can see it. This isn't just rumors. We're seeing that this is happening. There's been a huge stockpile in the center of Louisiana, in the center of a city that we've had photographs taken of very recently, a huge stockpile of Corexit 957 in an area that they're saying that there's children playing and everything. And why would they bring in all this extra dispersant if they've stopped using it back in, when was that, July or August, that they said that they had stopped using it? And, I mean, this is a known toxin. We know that this causes hemorrhaging. This is a known factor. So people that are exposed to this can have nosebleeds. They can have hemorrhaging in every part of their body. I mean, we've got a guy, Joey Yurkis, who actually worked on the oil spill, saw the dispersant being sprayed, had no idea how it was going to affect him. It was being blown through the air. He knew he wasn't feeling well. He was getting a lot of headaches. Those were all blown off by BP. Oh, you guys are fine. You're a little overheated, whatever. He's gotten to the point now where he is so sick that he has used every bit of money from his Vessels of Opportunity program to try to get himself, well, I was going to say well, but really it's just keep himself alive. And the sad part is, at this point, as of about 2 weeks ago, he took his last treatment. And when I say that, it's the last treatment he can afford. He has no way to make a living. He's had to relocate, change his life. He's a 2-year-old daughter, and he doesn't know if he's going to live to see her. This isn't one. This is many, many people this way.
I am just sick at this, because we're looking at now the devastation of not only businesses, fish, people. But the fraud that's going on with, everything is just fine down in the Gulf now. There's no oil and, we're taking care and paying everybody. I mean, this is just the biggest fraud we've got going. And here everybody is all concerned about, Osama and whether or not he was on herbal Viagra in his little apartment there in Pakistan. I mean, that's seriously is a story today. And here you've got the real suffering of these people, and the media is nowhere to be found.
Yes. The thing I think that I found was the hardest, I was just part of a 5-day teach-in called Changing the End Game with Ricky and a whole team of us went there, including this Joey that I'm telling you about that's so sick. And, we went around to different areas, and we met a lot of people, and we were in 4 Gulf states for 5 days. And you would not believe how many people are sick. And some of these people just live in the towns. They're not necessarily workers. And the sad part is, their children are sick as well. And even the children are getting the same symptoms as the adults. I mean, they're getting rashes, stomach aches, congestion, infections in their bodies. And what's actually happening is, some of these sound like mild symptoms because they'll sound sort of like colds and flu. But what's actually happening is that they're being chemically poisoned. These are toxins that are going into their body, and this is the way it manifests itself. So these mild symptoms that seem mild, which really are not, they're just showing a little bit of it.
Okay, we're going to be back after this 4-minute break, ladies and gentlemen. She says people are sick and dying. We're going to talk about the fish, and we're going to talk about Obama's visit to the Gulf. Was it real or was it Memorex? We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned. This is Joyce Riley and the Power Hour.